The crypto markets are on the verge of their next move. ETF decisions, mainnet upgrades, new partnerships. Today we're talking about 5 coins that are really gaining momentum right now. XRP, Kaspa, Supra, Polygon and Cardano. Today I'll show you the most important news from the past 7 days, my price prediction for 2026 and my chart analysis. But attention, a disclaimer. My channel is not financial advice, but purely for informational purposes. Let's start with XRP. The SEC is reviewing XRP's spot applications until the 25th of October. Institutional inflows could of course be on the horizon. Secondly, public companies now hold over $11.5 billion in XRP, and Ripple is aiming for a banking license. Third, Ripple's ODL network processes up to $1.3 trillion with new partnerships like Santander or Amex. This is of course extremely exciting because XRP is increasingly establishing itself as a global payment asset. ETF adoption and ODL growth could push XRP permanently above the $3 mark. But let's take a look at the charts. So let's move on to the chart analysis of XRP. First, by way of explanation, I use my own indicator and trading view. The indicator actually shows 2 things. First, whether we are in an overbought zone, meaning a lot of people are buying, we are entering overbought areas, which is marked with a red dot. For me, that's an indicator that I might want to take profits or exit completely. On the other hand, if a lot of people are selling and we enter oversold areas, it's shown with a green dot. For me, that's a sign that it might be a good time to enter. Then we also have small dots, both red and green. These indicate a trend reversal, so red means a bearish trend reversal. Green means a bullish trend reversal. So, what did we have with XRP just now? We had a small green dot form here, which means we have a bullish trend reversal. That means it could continue to go up for now. For me, at the moment, I wouldn't get into XRP just yet. I would wait for now because we haven't entered a massively oversold zone. By the way, you'll find out when I get into XRP in the 10x elite group. You also have access there, and by the way, you also get access to the 10x indicator. Secondly, Kaspa. Kaspa reached 158 million transactions in 24 hours. Network performance is at a record level. Thanks to Rust optimization, it can now handle over 1,800 TPS. That's a strong signal for scalability. On top of that, there's the Binance listing rumor. That could actually become reality soon. Kaspa shows that proof of work isn't dead. Faster blocks, stronger community, technical progress. If the listing happens, we could probably see the next massive price surge. But let's also take a look at the chart for Kaspa. Now let's move on to the chart analysis for Kaspa. How is Kaspa looking right now at the moment? It definitely looks good in that sense because we formed 2 green dots. This means we've reached oversold zones. For me now, in any case, I'm considering whether entering or buying more might be worthwhile. So an interesting zone may have formed here for Kaspa. Third, let's move on to Supra. The Supernova mainnet has launched. More performance and vertical integration. Partnerships with Notify are strengthening the Oracle network. The ecosystem is growing despite the small market capitalization. Supra currently reminds me of the early days of Chainlink. A small project but with extremely strong technology. If adoption takes off, this could become a real hidden gem. But let's take a look at this in the chart analysis. Let's move on to the chart analysis for Supra. What does the current situation look like for Supra? We've seen a massive sell-off here. Looking at it this way, the chart doesn't look good in the long run, of course. You have to be honest about that. Even here, we had occasional pushes upward, but we were always immediately sold off again. We formed a green dot here, meaning this would have been a zone. By the way, that was the moment when the massive flash crash happened. That means we were massively oversold at that point. Here as well, we formed a red dot, which means there's a bearish trend reversal. Now let's move on to Polygon. A major POS update is coming in October with up to 5,000 TPS. Then the transition from Matic to Pol on the Ethereum mainnet is underway. Additionally, ZK, EVMs and ETF demand are definitely driving interest. Polygon is expanding its layer 2 dominance, the ZK EVM is technically strong, and the Polygon rebranding is finally bringing clarity. 2026 could be really exciting for Polygon, but let's take a look at the charts now. Let's move on to the chart analysis of Polygon. Looking at the longer term, you can see we've been continuously sold off. There was another massive push here as well. So the interest is definitely there. Here we had this flash crash. And what does it look like at the moment? During the flash crash, for example here, we actually formed a green dot, which is usually a good entry zone because we were oversold. But then the flash crash happened and it went even further down. However, that was then massively bought up again. What does it look like right now? We formed a green dot, which might indicate a short-term bullish trend reversal. But I would still be cautious here. We're not in an oversold zone. So for now, I would rather wait and see. Fifth, let's move on to Cardano, also known as ADA. ETF decisions are just around the corner. That could, of course, trigger institutional inflows. But a new roadmap for smart contracts and global use cases was also announced. There was also a $23 million grant for the native token, which is also exciting. Cardano keeps becoming relevant again and again. If the ETF approval comes combined with real-world adoption, ADA could benefit from it in the long term. But now let's take a look at the chart. What does the chart say about ADA? Let's move on to the chart analysis of Cardano. What does it look like at the moment? Here as well, the interest in Cardano was really massive. We were also pushed up quite a bit. Now there's been a bit of a sell-off again. There was a flash crash here once. And at the moment, we formed a small green dot, which means there could be a bullish trend reversal. But here too, we're not in the massively oversold zone. Otherwise, that would be marked here with a green dot. But we're still quite far down. Here, I would also rather wait a bit to see how the overall market develops. But we're definitely on a good path. By the way, if you want to use the 10x indicator yourself, you can get it in the 10x Elite. You can find all the information in the video description. Those were the most important altcoin news from the past week, from XRP to Kaspa to Cardano. Everywhere we see strong fundamentals and increasing institutional interest. Especially when the ETFs arrive, institutions will finally be able to invest as well. If you appreciate data-driven analysis like this, please leave a like now and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more analyses. And start right here with 2 analyses just for you. Both are extremely exciting. You don't want to miss out. See you in a moment.